Story 1. The Silent Pulse. Dr. Amelia Reyes had always trusted in science, yet nothing could have prepared her for the inexplicable phenomenon unfolding beneath the Polar Research Station. In the endless white of the Arctic night, an incessant, rhythmic pulse emanated from deep beneath the ice, a sound that no seismograph could fully capture and no theory could explain. Initially, the pulse was dismissed as the groaning of the frozen earth. But as nights lengthened into a relentless vigil, the pulse grew into a throbbing presence, invading both equipment and the fragile minds of the station's crew. Amelia's colleagues whispered of nightmares in which the pulse transformed into a heartbeat, a monstrous, living entity rising from the abyss. Despite mounting evidence of its abnormal frequency and intensity, no rational explanation could allay the creeping dread that seeped into every corner of the station. As the pulse synchronized with each crew member's pulse, an eerie unity took hold, a shared terror that left them questioning whether the phenomenon was a natural occurrence or an ancient, slumbering force awakened by their intrusion. Determined to unmask the truth, Amelia ventured alone into the ice caverns below the station. The deeper she descended, the more the world above seemed to vanish, replaced by a labyrinth of crystalline walls that pulsed in unison with her own heartbeat. In the bowels of the frozen earth, she discovered a cavernous chamber lined with enigmatic symbols that glowed faintly with an inner light. At the center lay a colossal, pulsating mass, a biological engine that throbbed with an unsettling, deliberate cadence. In that moment, Amelia felt both awe and terror. The mass was not simply a geological oddity but a living organism, an ancient sentinel whose slow, deliberate pulses resonated with the very heartbeat of the planet. Its rhythm was both a warning and a call to a primordial order that had long been forgotten. In the silence of that subterranean crypt, science and myth converged, leaving her with a profound realization. Some mysteries were never meant to be unraveled. As the pulse reached a crescendo, Amelia felt an irresistible pull, as if the entity were drawing her into its timeless embrace. With one final, desperate measure, she transmitted her findings back to the station, her voice trembling with both revelation and dread. The pulse had not ended. It had only begun its slow invasion of every heartbeat above the ice. In that isolated world, the boundaries between living and non-living, science and myth, had blurred beyond repair. Story 2. Crimson Echoes. Marcus Delaney, a reclusive art curator known for his unorthodox taste, uncovered an anomaly that would shatter his understanding of art and reality itself. While rummaging through the archives of an abandoned cultural center on the edge of town, Marcus discovered a painting unlike any other. Titled Crimson Echoes, the work was a chaotic melange of abstract forms and violent reds that seemed to shift in the corner of his vision. Unlike other artworks meant to evoke emotion, this painting evoked dread, a silent scream captured on canvas. At first, Marcus assumed the unsettling quality was due to a trick of light or an overactive imagination. But soon, he began noticing that the painting altered its composition depending on the time of day. Under harsh fluorescent lights, the reds deepened to a blood-like hue. In the soft glow of twilight, hidden figures emerged in the background, their faces twisted in agony. As Marcus studied the painting, disturbing visions crept into his mind, fleeting images of past atrocities and long-forgotten horrors. Driven by equal measures of curiosity and horror, Marcus embarked on an obsessive quest to decipher the painting's origin. His research unearthed fragmented records of a long-disbanded movement dedicated to capturing the truth of human suffering through radical art. It appeared that Crimson Echoes was not merely a work of art but a conduit for historical pain, a repository of memories too horrific to be forgotten. Each brushstroke, every streak of crimson, pulsed with a resonance that transcended time, echoing the cries of those long silenced, As the boundaries between the artwork and his reality began to dissolve, Marcus experienced a transformation. The vivid imagery invaded his waking moments. He saw ghostly reenactments of past violence in everyday reflections, heard the muted lament of unseen victims in the rustle of leaves, and felt the oppressive weight of history in every heartbeat. His once orderly life turned into a relentless descent into paranoia. Marcus struggled to retain his grasp on reality as the painting's influence spread like an infection, corrupting every memory with its haunting truth. Late one evening, in a final act of defiance against the encroaching madness, Marcus attempted to destroy the painting. But as the flames licked at its surface, the colors seemed to bleed into the air, leaving behind only a lingering, unerasable echo of crimson terror, a reminder that some horrors are immortal, echoing through the corridors of time. Story 3. The Harvest of Dusk. Every autumn, the small farming community of Cold Spring faced a mysterious occurrence during harvest season. For generations, the fields yielded an unusually bountiful crop. Yet with each harvest came a darkness that shrouded the land. Bennett Crowley, an agronomist with an unwavering rationality, arrived in Cold Spring to study the peculiar yield. What he discovered was a curse rooted in the very soil, an ancient pact sealed with blood and terror. The locals spoke in hushed tones about the harvest of dusk, a time when the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred. Bennett, however, dismissed these tales as superstitious lore, until he observed subtle anomalies in the crops. The stalks of corn shimmered under the dying light with an otherworldly glow, and the fruits bore markings reminiscent of archaic symbols. As he collected samples for analysis, Bennett began to feel an unsettling presence in the fields, a sensation that something watched from beneath the earth. Nightmares soon plagued Bennett. In his dreams, he wandered endless rows of pulsating crops and encountered spectral figures clad in tattered farming attire. These apparitions murmured fragmented prophecies of retribution, their voices a discordant blend of sorrow and rage. Every dream left Bennett more drained, as though the land was siphoning his vitality to fulfill its ancient hunger. Driven by mounting dread, Bennett delved into the dusty records of Cold Spring's past. He uncovered a grim history. Centuries ago, a desperate community had made a pact with a primordial force to save their failing harvests. In exchange for a year of bountiful yield, the villagers sacrificed a portion of their souls, binding their fates to the land. Over time, the pact had twisted into a curse, one that demanded a terrible price with every autumn cycle. As the current harvest approached, Bennett found himself caught between scientific inquiry and the palpable, malevolent force that now haunted Cold Spring. Determined to break the cycle, he attempted to perform a counter-ritual using modern techniques and old folklore. However, the land was unyielding. On the night of the harvest moon, as Bennett stood amid the eerie, luminescent crops, the ground trembled with the anger of an ancient promise. In that final, harrowing moment, Bennett realized that the curse was not a relic of superstition but an enduring, living entity, a malignant harvest that fed on human despair. As the spectral figures closed in, the fields erupted in a silent, unstoppable fury, ensuring that the cycle of dusk and terror would continue, season after season. Story 4. Shattered Horizons. Ethan Mercer was no stranger to the gritty underbelly of urban life, but nothing in his career as a photographer had prepared him for the series of inexplicable images that began to surface. It started innocuously, a blurred street corner, a fractured skyline. Yet as Ethan reviewed his latest shots, he noticed distortions that defied logic. In every photograph, a fissure appeared along the horizon, as if reality itself were splitting apart. At first, Ethan dismissed these anomalies as technical glitches. But soon, his camera captured scenes that defied natural explanation. an alleyway where gravity seemed to bend, reflections in puddles that revealed impossible landscapes, and silhouettes that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Compelled by equal measures of curiosity and dread, Ethan embarked on a mission to unravel the mystery behind these shattered horizons. His investigation led him to obscure urban legends about a clandestine experiment conducted decades ago, a project that sought to harness the boundaries of space and time. According to whispered rumors among retired scientists and fringe theorists, a covert government initiative had inadvertently torn a seam in the fabric of reality. The experiment was supposedly buried in classified records, but its effects continued to ripple through the city like an unhealed wound. Ethan's quest for answers drove him deep into the labyrinthine corridors of the city's underbelly. Late one night, while exploring a forgotten industrial district, he stumbled upon remnants of the project, a decaying research facility shrouded in an eerie stillness. In the silent hallways, the walls bore cryptic equations and diagrams hinting at a force that existed beyond known physics. As Ethan's heart pounded in his chest, he realized that the shattered horizons were not isolated anomalies but manifestations of an ever-widening rift, a tear in reality that threatened to engulf the city. The deeper Ethan probed, the more his own perception began to warp. The line between his photographs and his nightmares blurred. He began to see the tear in everyday life, a glimpse of a universe where chaos reigned. Friends and colleagues dismissed his accounts as stress-induced hallucinations, but Ethan knew the truth. Each new image was a warning, a fragment of a larger, cosmic horror that defied explanation. In a final, desperate attempt to document the unraveling of his world, Ethan mounted an exhibition of his photographs. As the crowd gathered in the stark, white gallery, the images on the walls pulsed with an almost sentient malevolence. With each passing moment, the fissures in the photographs widened, until one image revealed a portal, a glimpse of a distorted realm that beckoned with silent, insidious allure. In that chilling moment, Ethan realized that reality was not fixed, and that the shattered horizons were only the beginning of an unimaginable descent into chaos.